that time to do my monthly wrap up. So in March I read 10 books, which I mean typically for me isn't like as good as I usually read, but that's not bad. Like I'm still proud of myself for even reading because like I could have not read anything and you could have not had a wrap up. So, I mean, I'm proud of myself and 10 books is still a really good amount. 10 books is like what I used to read a month. And so I feel like if my lowest number is 10 books, I'm still extremely proud of myself. Let's just get into the stats before I get into like what I actually read. In March, I read 10 books. I read 3,686 pages, which means overall so far this year, I've read 23,619 pages. I can't really tell you what I read of each, but those are the stats that I have right now, I think. So start off the month, I read Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars, I believe. I have a reading vlog on it. You guys should definitely check it out. It was so much fun to read. I read this entire series in 1 month back in February, and I'm absolutely in love with it, and I really, really enjoyed this book, and I can't wait for the next one to come out. This one is basically the first book in the Last Hours series, the 4th series in the Shadowhunter Chronicles, and like the 20th books in like all the series, and it basically follows the kids of people in the Inferno Devices. So if you want to, you can honestly just read the Inferno Devices and then read this, but honestly I would suggest reading it as a whole in release date order because that's how I read it and that's how I enjoyed it the most. But I mean, if you want to read it any other way, I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars or 4.5 out of I literally have the ratings right here. What am I talking about? Yeah, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed this book. It was really cute. I really loved the characters. I really loved that the main character was a woman of color. So the next book I read was The Reckoning by Jenny Frog. And I gave this book, I gave it 0.5 stars. Dang. Oh no, that's not how much I gave it. That's the number. It's like, dang, I never rated a book that harshly before. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. This was like the 0.5 book, like the book you read before you start the series. And I thought it was pretty interesting. And then I read the book Halfway to the Grave, which I ended up giving 2 out of 5 stars. I found that I don't really care about the series. Everyone was like, oh, the main guy reminds me of Spike from the Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And I'm like, no. If anything, he's more of an angel. Like Spike was more of a villain, and then he became an anti-hero. The guy in this was an anti-hero, which was basically Angel. Like the guy in this book was Angel, not Spike. Like, don't be comparing nobody to Spike because nobody can meet up to Spike. And it's not just like people, like the author was trying to make it seem like he was like Spike. Like, no, I didn't get Spike vibes from it until I read reviews, and I was like, he reminded me of Angel. Like when I was reading, I was like, yeah, this is Angel. But everyone else was like Spike, and I'm like, oh. I didn't really like it. I thought it was very boring. The premise of it was good. It was basically about this girl who's a vampire, and she's half vampire, half human, and her mom, I believe, was raped, and she ended up becoming a vampire. I mean, she ended up birthing a vampire, so now the half vampire, half human is out to kill all the vampires, and our main guy, he's like out to kill all vampires, I believe, too, so they like team up and they like killing vampires together. And I just didn't like the main character. I found her very annoying. I find that in paranormal romances, the main characters are pretty much alike. They're very bland and don't really have much personality. If I'm in love with a guy, I'm like, all right, I can do with this. I can work with this. We can handle this. But I didn't care about the guy because Angel, I don't care about Angel in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I care about Spike in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So then after that, I read The Dove. And I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. It was actually a reread. I read this book, like, The Dove is one of my all-time favorite movies. It's one of my all-time favorite books. I first read The Dove as a Justin Bieber fanfiction, and then I heard the movie was coming out, so I reread the book, and then I watched the movie. I loved the movie, and I haven't read the book since then. So I was like, let me read this book. This book is problematic, I will say, but it was ahead of its time at the same time. Like, one thing I really enjoyed about this book was, like, back in the day, like, those books always had, like, the girl who was, like, the slut basically, and she was always the girl who like loved sleeping around. She was the mean girl. It's basically what they did in the movie. She was the mean girl, and she always was after the guy. Where in this book, the girl just liked to mess around with guys, and she wasn't mean. She was friends with the main character, and that's one thing I hated about the movie was that they made Madison, which was Bella Thorne's character be like the girl who's like obsessed with the main guy, when in this book the girl did not care about him. And it was just so fun reading it, because one of my favorite things about the movie was like the little thing, the little restaurant teen club they went to. It wasn't really whatever they went to. It wasn't in the movie, and like that was one of my favorite settings in the book. And another thing that really changed in the book was that the dad. Oh, if you don't know what the Duff is about, my bad. I'm sorry. If you don't know what the Duff is about, it's basically about this girl who, you know, her best friends are like two popular girls, and so she's popular by association. And one day, the popular jock calls her the Duff, the designated ugly fat friend, and she's like so insulted, so she throws a drink in his face, and then they ended up like, she's like, teach me how to not be the Duff, and they end up messing around and they fall in love, and it's enemies to lovers, and I love it. This is such a good book. Like, if you take out the controversy, if you take out the problematic things, which it didn't really have that many problematic things to me, so if you take out the problematic stuff and you just read the book for enjoyment, it is so good. And the movie is so amazing. I love the Duff, and this book, it has problematic issues, but I got what I wanted out of it, to see if it still was a 5-star book. And she's a 5-star chick, she's a 5-star girly, and that's all I really wanted to know. And I got my answer, so we can't be mad. Next we have House of Earth and Blood, which is why I only read 10 books this month. This book took me 9 days to finish. I could have finished so many books in those 9 days. It nearly took me 10 books. Also, I'm gonna kill my sister because, look, when I take off the dust jacket, my sister's currently reading it, and I went to my room to like get the book, and I'm like, I know where my sister keeps her dust jackets, like, and I go in her room and it looks like this. But I mean, I don't want to be too mad because I don't want to make her feel bad. So she doesn't watch my videos. So I don't want to make her feel bad. So I told her I wasn't mad at her, but I am. But yeah. So Red House of Earth and Blood. This book is a urban fantasy about a girl who she's a party girl. She's always, she has so many friends. She's a party girl. She lives with her best friend, and then her life basically gets turned upside down. She has to work with this detective guy on something. Don't read the description. Just go based off that. If you find it interesting, read it. If you don't, I gave this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. Like, I liked it, but the world building was a lot, and I find that like too much world building just ain't for me, and I didn't really find a character that I like connected with. And once I find a character I connect with, I can usually deal with it. Like, I liked Bryce, like she was a good character, but a lot of Sarah Maas female characters the Sarah Maas stands are coming for me. They're already in my comments calling me a dumb bitch. I can already see it right now. But Selena and Bryce, they always remind me, like, her character, even what's her name, Feyre. So the next book I read was Pestilence, and I read this for a book recommendations video, and I gave this book 4.5 out of 5. What are you doing?
I have something to tell you.
Go ahead.
It's not important.
Go ahead. So yeah, then I read Pestilence, which I gave 4.5 out of 5 stars, and I enjoyed this book, but it just didn't, it gave me what I needed, but I needed a little bit more. So this book basically is about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse coming to end the world, and the main character draws the short end of the stick, and she literally draws the short end of the stick. She's a firefighter, and they were all drawing sticks, and she draws the short one. She goes to kill this man, and he doesn't die, and so he kidnaps her, basically, and they go on like this little journey, and I thought it was interesting. It was very good. He was so possessive of her, and I loved it. Like, he asked her to marry him, like, and she's like, no, dude, like, we just met. And he's like, okay, well, you're gonna marry me, or I'm gonna tie you to the end of my horse, and you're gonna be forced to. And I was like, that is so sweet. I don't know what's wrong with me. And the next book I read was Praying for Rain, and this was another like apocalyptic book, and this was about like the apocalypse was coming like April 23rd, and so it's like 3 days until the apocalypse is coming, and everyone believes the 4 horsemen is gonna come. Everyone's been getting like these dreams or whatever, and so everyone believes the 4 horsemen are gonna come, so they're all preparing. And this one guy, he's there because he finds his shed when he was a kid, and so he is coming back to go there, and he ends up coming across the main character, and he kind of kidnaps her, even though it's kind of on her will, even though he kind of kidnaps her. I don't know, very blurred lines there. And I liked it, but then this all happens in 3 days, and they like fall in love with each other, and I'm like, in hindsight, it's insta love, even though the book was very, very long. It was like 200 pages. They fell in love at a good point in the book. So I give it like 3 stars. I just cannot do insta love. Like, you have to be super good in order for me to love insta love. And then the next book I read was Dark Lover, and I gave this 2.5 out of 5 stars. This book is the first book in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series, and it's basically about these vampires who are like protect other vampires, right? And I gave this one 2.5 out of 5 stars simply because in the book, I really like the idea of the book. Like, he's best friends with the main girl's dad, and like the main girl's dad dies, so he has to like watch over her, and like he's much older than her. He's like watching over her and like the dad thingy, and I was like, okay, I'm eating this up, not gonna lie. And then he like breaks into her apartment, and then they just do it, and that's it. And then she's like, oh, I don't know this man. Like, girl, he broke into your apartment. Like, what do you just like, oh, he's so hot, he's so muscular. Like, let's just do it. Like, I don't know this man, but let's just do it. And I'm like, girl, if you don't stab him, like, what are you doing? So I didn't like it, and it was very insta love. It was very, very insta love. And then I read Lover Eternal, Lover Eternal, and that was the second book in the series, which I gave 3.5 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed this one a lot more than the first one, and yeah, I enjoyed it a lot more than the first one. It still had insta love, but I can like see the relationships forming in like some of the other series. Like, I can see it, and I'm like, okay. And I really like the relationship in this one. It wasn't insta love, even though it kind of was, but it wasn't insta love in the first one. So I was like, the only thing that ruined the first book for me was the fact that he was just popped up in her apartment, and she was just like didn't question and just slept with him. In this one, it didn't happen like that, but it was still insta love. But I was like, okay, I can work with this. Then the next book I read was Heartstopper, and I don't rate graphic novels, but if I were to rate graphic novels, I would give it 5 out of 5 stars. I don't rate graphic novels because I either hate a graphic novel or don't care for it, or I love it. So it's either 1 star, 3 star, 5 star, and that's literally all I rate my graphic novels. So I was like, there's no point in rating my graphic novels. I never give it 4.5, never give it a 2 star. Like, I either hate it, don't care, or love it. So I stopped rating. But I really, really love this book. It's so cute, and it's in black and white, which I thought I wouldn't like, just because I like the colors on this is so beautiful. So like, why are there colors in here? But I don't know. I really liked it, and I really like Alice Oseman as an author, and I can't wait to continue on with this graphic novel because this is literally so cute. Like, the colors, the characters, I love it. And then the last book I read for this month was Vlad, and this was a Mafia romance. I give this 3.5 out of 5 stars. I really have been into those because I've been playing The Sims lately, and I made one of my Sims family a Mafia family, which I stole from my friend Becca because me and her and Mika have this group chat we call Gamer Girlies, and literally at night we get on it, we play Stardoll together, and then they go play Club Penguin, and then I go play Sims, and Becca, she was like, oh, I'm gonna make a Mafia family for my Sims. And I was like, oh, that's such a good idea. So I made one, and so like I was like, oh, this is so fun. Like, I really like playing with the Mafia family, and I actually really enjoyed it. Like, it wasn't a bad book. It was just really confusing because all the last names sounded like they all started with V's, and it was really confusing me. But the premise of the story was really good. Basically, just like this guy who's like in the mafia and he's killing people, and he's set to marry the main character's older sister, but he's in love with the main character. And I really like the idea of that. There's a book out, I forget who the author is, I'll put a picture of it. It's called Desperation. I believe that has like a similar plot. So if you want to read a book like that, you would do no wrongs with checking out. But anyways, back to the book. So I didn't really like it because the names, like, it was preschool, and like middle school we learned that like you shouldn't name your characters with similar names because then your audience would confuse them. But I mean, I guess everyone didn't learn that. But yeah, everything started with a V, and it was confusing me, and they were hard to pronounce, and I was like, okay, this but it was good. It wasn't like 4-star worthy. It wasn't like 4.5 or 5-star worthy, but it was good. I won't continue on with the series because I really liked the first book, but I don't care enough to finish with the series. So yeah, those are all the 10 books I read this month. I hope that you liked this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next one.